Hello everyone, welcome to Tathastu and welcome to our class wherein we are going to do the weekly analysis of PIB, and this is of the first week of August. Okay, let me tell you, this is of the first week of August. Right, the next week's, the second week, I will be doing that. Okay, so don't worry about it. Let's get started with this thing. Here we will be covering the very important portions only. Okay, let's get started with the very first topic. So here the first topic is related to the farmer welfare scheme. So here the scheme is Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, that is PMKisan scheme. This scheme was in news recently and it was launched in 2018. Now, what was the objective of this thing? Here, obviously, this particular scheme was in order to support the farmers, okay, to provide income support to all land holding farmer families nationwide. Now here how they are actually providing this income support. So the financially they are basically helping out. Here what will be what actually happens. So 6,000 rupees annually is being provided in 3-4 monthly installments. In 3-4 monthly installments all these things are being done. How it is being provided? So 2,000 rupees per month is being transferred through the direct benefit transfer mode. So directly being transferred over there in their account itself. And how much of amount? So that is the 6,000 rupees. So this is how financially the farmers are being actually helped out. Apart from that, the formation and the promotion of 10,000 farmer producer organizations related to this thing only, obviously for the farmers itself. Again, this thing, it was launched in 2020 as a central sector scheme. What was the goal of this thing? What was not only was, but what is the goal of this? So the goal is to establish and promote 10,000 farmer producer organizations through implementing agencies, the agencies who will be responsible in order to implement all these things, and cluster based business organizations. They will be the one who will be doing this. Now, it offers professional support for 5 years, which is really very good. So professionally they will be actually providing support, and that too for 5 years, aiding FPOs, that is the farmers producer organizations with the kind of business plans, that what all things you can actually do, and the execution also, and the market linkages as well. Next one is the agriculture infrastructure fund over here. Agriculture infrastructure fund. This has been done as a part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, what is the aim of this? Aim is address agriculture infrastructure gaps and attract investment in the sector itself. So, what it is doing? It is actually addressing the kind of gaps in the agriculture infrastructure, and as well as it is attracting the investment also, which is very much important in order to grow. It provides debt financing for post-harvest management infrastructure and community farming assets through interest subvention, and create guarantee support totaling 1 lakh crore rupees. So all these kind of support is actually being provided over here. Now the next kind of help, or you can say the scheme or the yojana for the farmers, is like the National Mission on Edible Oil, that is the oil palm. So now again this scheme is also the centrally sponsored scheme, and here what they are doing, from the name itself you can obviously understand, promoting the oil palm cultivation. So they are basically promoting the oil palm cultivation, and here again as of now we are very much dependent on the export thing. We are importing, not export. We are basically importing a lot of oil palm. Now here the thing is that we want to become self-sufficient. So here we actually want to attain self-sufficiency in the edible oils. For it focuses primarily on the northeastern states and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in order to produce a lot of palm oil, in order to do this kind of cultivation. Now here under this particular scheme, to help out the farmers, the another thing which is being promoted is the honeybees, right? So honeybee, these bees cultivation is actually being this thing, beekeeping sector is actually being promoted over here. So national beekeeping and honey mission, this is another mission, and this is also there in order to obviously push a kind of, or you can say in order to generate more of the income for the farmers, and they will be doing for themselves, no one else is actually doing, they are doing for themselves itself. So it was rolled out in 2020 as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. What is the objective? Foster scientific beekeeping and develop the beekeeping sector over here. But develop beekeeping sector but in a scientific way. It's not like कि हाँ भाई हम भी रख लेते हैं तुम भी रख लो type. No, it's not like that. Okay. Now, what it aims? It aims to usher in a sweet revolution through advancements in the beekeeping practices. And all of us are aware of this thing, that honey is really very good for our health. So, despite using sugar, you can definitely use the honey. Now, the next is the property cards issued under the Swamitwa thing. So, Swamitwa program. Property cards. Swamitwa, what is this Swamitwa? Swamitwa is a survey of villages and mapping with improvised technology in village areas scheme. And it is enacted by the government of India. Okay, Swamitwa program, it is being enacted by the government of India. Rural property validation focus over here. This particular scheme primarily targets providing a comprehensive property validation solution for the rural areas with the main focus on the rural households. So they are basically focusing on the rural itself. Okay, and that too has been mentioned in the name itself. Village areas, the villages, survey of villages. So obviously the rural area, rural households are actually the main focus. Okay, next is the individual property card issuance. It actually facilitates the issuance of property cards to individual property and owners in the rural regions over here. When it comes to the modern mapping, this will be done through the drones. How it will be done? It will be done through the drones. So, Swamitwa actually employs the drones and advanced surveying technology to map and survey land parcels within the villages itself, so that it could be done in a much faster way and in a much proper way, because in this way we would be able to map the things, we can record the videos and everything can be done, and accordingly it can be decided that which land actually belongs to whom. Accurate land records and the dispute resolution can be done through this thing. The scheme's implementation aids in creating precise land records and effectively resolving property related disputes also. Obviously every then and now there is definitely some kind of property related issues. Just for an example, if someone is not there in the village, that land, the land which actually belongs to that person could be, taken by someone else, and that happens very often. All these kind of things actually happen, right? So in order to avoid all these kind of conflicts, this Swamitwa thing can actually help out. Legal proof of the ownership. The property cards granted by the scheme hold legal standing as a proof of ownership, and it can be actually utilized. It can be utilized for accessing various benefits and the services. Just for an example, if you want to take loan and you have this card in order to prove that these many acres of land actually belongs to you, so you can basically use it for various kind of benefits and the services, like you can take the loan also on that particular basis. Here when it comes to the challenges which is actually being faced by the Swamitwa implementation scheme over here. So the drones availability is the first thing. Obviously, the drone idea is actually very good, but when it comes to implementing all these things, when it comes to actually using these many numbers of drones in order to obviously map all the areas, you actually need huge number of huge number of drones over here. So obviously that is the kind of problem. State delays, delay in designating an adequate number of villages for mapping, that is the Chuna marked villages by the states, that is also a kind of problem, the kind of challenge which is actually being faced. So what is the problem over here? Delay in designating the adequate number of the villages for the mapping, that how many villages are supposed to be mapped in order to provide these cards, okay, under the Swamitwa scheme. Next kind of challenge is the manpower shortage over here. Okay, so inadequate trained workforce for executing the scheme's activities, this is the kind of challenge over here. Weather and terrain constraints are also the kind of problem. The weather will definitely create a kind of difficulty in order to map, and apart from that, the terrain areas, what kind of area is that? Drone permissions also actually create kind of problem. Again the same thing, everyone cannot have it, and obviously you, in order to take the permission, that might also take a lot of time. So that is also a kind of problem. So holding and acquiring drone flying permissions in areas around airports and that of the international borders also creates problem over here. Okay, because these are of the utmost important. Mitigation strategies. The very first thing what you can do is you have to actually monitor the progress. Okay, so ongoing supervision of the scheme's advancement should be done. Next thing is the stakeholder coordination. Active involvement and coordination with relevant line departments on the organizations should be done. Stakeholder support. Providing guidance and support to various stakeholders engaged in the scheme's implementation should be done. So because the stakeholders are the one who are responsible for these things, so obviously they are supposed to be involved over here. Next one is the Rajya Sabha passes Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill 2023 in the Parliament. So Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill 2023 has been passed by the Rajya Sabha. Now this was actually passed by Lok Sabha in June itself, and then Rajya Sabha passed it on August 2. Initially it was introduced in Lok Sabha in 2022 itself, so last winter session actually it was introduced, and then it was referred to Joint Committee of the Parliament. Where it was referred? It was referred to the Joint Committee of the Parliament in order to scan and obviously obviously to tell that these are the things which should be done, these are the things which shouldn't be done, these should be removed, this should be added, all these kind of things were done. Now the highlights of the Jan Vishwas Amendment of Provisions Bill, what are the main points? The very first one is the decriminalization proposal. Here, this particular bill has actually decriminalized 183 provisions across 42 central acts managed by 19 ministries or that of the departments. Here, when it comes to the decriminalization, it actually involves eliminating imprisonment and or that of the fines as well. Prison and the fines, and it has actually introduced the option of compounding offences and converting fines and imprisonment into the penalties. So what they have done, they have removed this provision of imprisonment and the fines, and despite this thing, what they have done, they have included the penalties thing over here. So you have to you have to pay that much of penalty, right? Next is effective implementation measures. When it comes to the implementation measures, so bill actually suggests the practical fine adjustments, the establishment of adjudicating officers and the appellate authorities, and periodic enhancement of fine and the penalty amounts has been done. So in order for this, in order to obviously implement it effectively, what they are doing, So they have actually established the adjudicating officers and appellate authorities who will be doing their work whatever has been assigned, and periodic enhancement of the fine and the penalty amounts will also be done, because if suppose that for some kind of offense 1,000 rupees was decided, but later on they thought कि नहीं भाई इतने से कुछ नहीं होगा, so what they can do, this is dynamic, they can increase it. Okay, the punishment's severity and nature will correspond to the gravity of the offense, that obviously what is the nature and how much severe kind of offense you have done, accordingly the things will be done, that whether this offense is really very grave kind of thing or what. Next is the benefits of the amendment bill. So what are the benefits? The very first thing is the rationalization of criminal provisions has been done. Next is the it has reduced the pressure on judicial system. Third is providing citizens and businesses the freedom to operate without fear of imprisonment for the minor lapses. And the last one is boosting the business growth, which is actually the target of the government also, ease of doing business. They have always been doing this thing, that their focus has always been on this thing, ease of doing business, right? Next is guiding nature amendments. The legislation sets a precedent for future amendments across the various laws, and it even saves the time and resources for both the government and that of the businesses as well. Okay, so it actually saves both the time and the resources over here. Now the Samudrayan project, which is really very important one, Samudrayan project over here. What is the objective of this project? This is really very interesting. Chandrayaan, this is the Samudrayan. So Samudrayan project, this actually aims to deploy a manned submersible vehicle to reach a depth of 6,000 meters beneath the ocean's surface. So beneath the ocean surface, how much in depth they are supposed to go? 6,000 meters, which is really very deep, very, very deep. Executing, who will be the executing agency over here? So that is the National Institute of Ocean Technology, and under the Ministry of Earth Sciences. Okay, National Institute of Ocean Technology under the Ministry of Earth Sciences. It will be the one who will be responsible in order to implement this particular project. Now both of these things are important, the aim is important, and this National Institute of Ocean Technology, Ministry of Earth Sciences is also very much important. Manned submersible. Now what is that manned submersible? So that is the Matsya 6000. The Hindi name itself, Matsya 6000. 6000, the depth of 6000, Matsya is the submersible. Here the design, the manned submersible named Matsya 6000 is specially designed to endure the high pressure, because when you are in such a deep ocean, so obviously there will be lots of pressure over there. Okay, so that submersible should be able to handle this kind of pressure when beneath the ocean, and extreme temperatures found in the deep ocean, that particular submersible should be able to handle all these things. What are the kind of capabilities? So it is actually equipped with advanced scientific instruments, which includes the cameras, sensors and manipulators as well. So this Matsya 6000 will facilitate comprehensive exploration of the ocean floor and data collection. They will be actually studying the ocean floor, and apart from that they will be collecting a lot of data as well for the study purpose and all. Now the next thing is the anticipated completion. So it has been anticipated that it will be completed by 2024. Okay, so here the Samudrayan project is said to be concluded by 2024, which actually obviously marks the significant advancement in India's ocean exploration endeavors over here. Okay, now the diverse objectives. Now what are the objectives in order to do all these things? That why we are going at such a depth, what is the reason behind that, what is the need for that, why we are going at such a depth? Because that is really very dangerous thing, and we are spending a lot of money also. So the very first thing is the geological and biological insight over here. So the project's primary goals are in order to encompass gaining a deeper understanding of the geology and biology of the enigmatic deep ocean realm. The next point is the mineral resources perspective. Okay, everyone is in search of the mineral resources. When it comes to the Arctic Ocean, everyone is behind that, behind the Arctic Ocean. Why? For the minerals only. China is behind this South China Sea. Why? For the mineral resources, right? So everyone is behind that only. So mineral resources perspective is one. Another objective behind this thing. They will be obviously looking out, they will be investigating the potential deposits in the depths that where these kind of minerals we can see. Next is the environmental monitoring. The mission will play a role in monitoring shifts in the oceanic environment, aiding in the assessment of environmental changes over here, that what are the kind of environmental changes which is actually impacting, whether it is being impacted or not, and how it will be affecting the other things, the environment. So all these kind of study will be done. Next is the technological testing. So here the submersible will serve as a platform for testing novel technologies applicable in challenging the deep sea conditions, because when it comes to the deep sea, there is in the starting itself we read that high temperature and the high pressure is there, and oxygen is also very much less. So all those kind of things, the scientific studies, all those things will be done over here. Now, significance of the ocean exploration. Okay, what is this? So Samudrayan initiative stands as a monumental achievement in India's pursuit of comprehending the ocean's this mystery, because ocean is full of mysteries. Every time, you know, you will find some new kind of species. When it comes to the Western Ghats, the same thing happens. Every year there is one new kind of species which we get to know about, and the ocean is also full of that. Many of them we don't know, so it is full of a lot of mysteries and all which we want to study. And all of you must have read about this thing. I cannot resist to saying this thing, the oceanic floor, this spreading. Okay, the spread of the oceanic floor, right? So that is also you know, very interesting thing which actually happens on the earth's surface. So all those things happen at really very deep, at really very depth. Okay, so all those things can be, and we can see, you know, you never know that what we would be able to actually capture over there. Now, by enabling advanced research in the deep ocean, Indian scientists are poised to make discoveries that hold significance for both the nation and the global community over here. Now, the next is the 22nd Law Commission. So, 22nd Law Commission, we will be now reading about this thing. Here, the initial constitution and the extended tenure, this 22nd Law Commission, it was initially formed in 2020, okay, and it was done for 3 years, but now it has been extended till 2024. Okay, initially its term was of 3 years, but now it has been extended till that of the 2024. Composition of 22nd Law Commission over here. Variety of members. The commission is comprised of a full-time chairperson. So chairperson is full-time. Okay. Next is the 4 full-time members. Okay. So there are 4 full-time members. Then comes a potential maximum of 5 part-time members. Okay. So 5 are the part-time members, 4 are the full-time members, and here 1 is the chairperson over here. Okay, so all these are there. Inclusive participation. The commission encompasses the Secretary of the Department of Legal Affairs and the Secretary of the Legislative Department as the ex officio members. Okay, these are important from the prelims perspective. So the Secretary of Department of Legal Affairs and the Secretary of Legislative Department, these are the ex officio members over here. Now, the exploring the role of Law Commission, that what is the role of this Law Commission, that why it has been done and all. Okay, so first of all, this is a non-statutory establishment. Okay, so the Law Commission is a non-statutory entity. This is important point. Legal reform advocacy. Now, What is the purpose over here? The purpose is to advocate legal reforms and recommend amendments. Okay, so whatever the laws we have, it actually talks about the kind of amendment that all those things, whatever the things can actually be done when it comes to the legal reforms. Okay, next is the limited tenure appointments. The commission's tenure is determined by the central government for a defined duration only. Okay, so the tenure is of for the defined permission, defined time period only. In the starting itself we saw 3 years, then it was extended. It is not for forever kind of thing. Okay, now the next is the primary mandate over here. The central mission. Here the central mission of this is to scrutinize and evaluate the existing legal frameworks, that what are the laws and how it can be made much better as compared to what it is right now, pinpoint gaps and propose reforms that enhance efficiency and justice in the legal system. Next is issue examination and report preparation over here. It engages in the in-depth analysis of the specific legal issues and it formulates comprehensive reports for the environmental consideration over here. Next is the advisory nature of recommendations. Here it is the advisory, it is for the advisory nature only. It is not that whatever they have said it is mandatory. No, it is mandatory to implement and do in that way only. No, it is not a binding. It is just a kind of recommendation only. If you want to accept it, accept it. If you want to dismiss it, that can also be done. Contributions to the legislation and the policy. Obviously the commission's report matters a lot. So commission's report and recommendations play a pivotal role in shaping the legislative processes and the formulation of legal policies over here in India. So definitely it is of utmost importance over here. Okay, now here the significance. When it comes to the 22nd Law Commission, what is the significance? The very first thing is the section 124A, which is one of the really very controversial topic. Okay, that is the sedition. Okay, so section 124A of the Indian Penal Code, the commission has proposed in order to retain this thing, that we should retain this thing. We are not supposed to let it go. Okay, but recently we have seen that the government is actually saying that we are going to get away with this sedition thing. Next is the UCC. It has actually proposed, it has urged the government to enact the Uniform Civil Code, which should be done. Okay, so they have actually recommended this thing. Next is the criminal justice system overhaul. Here they have suggested that we are supposed to do a lot of changes when it comes to this criminal justice system. So various reforms were suggested, which encompasses the expeditious trials. The trials should be done in a much better way and faster way. Otherwise, there are a lot many innocent people also who are charged. They are put behind the bars, and they haven't done any kind of wrong things and all. But still, they remain in the jail. They stay over there. Not stay, obviously. No, nobody would like to be in the jail, right? But they are put behind the bars for many years without a trial, without facing any kind of trial, and ultimately when the trial thing happens, they prove to be innocent, right? So those kind of things shouldn't happen. So we need to expedite this thing. Next is decreased pre-trial detentions, prison condition enhancements, and the equitable legal aid accesses should be done over here. Next is the arbitration law transformation. Okay, so here what it is, proposed changes to the arbitration law. They have actually talked about this thing. They have recommended that the arbitration law must be changed, facilitating easier enforcement of the arbitral awards, reducing the arbitration time and as well as that of the expenses also, and broadening the arbitration scope as well. So all these are the kind of suggestions which the government, which the 22nd Law Commission has been given, and they have given this thing to the government. Okay, next is the land degradation and the desertification, which is the right now really very serious kind of situation. Well, what is this land degradation? First of all, you need to understand. So, obviously, the definition is it refers to the decline in the land quality and that of the productivity. If the quality and the productivity of the land is degrading over the year, then definitely it will become like a desert itself. So, that is the desertification. When it comes to the ecological scope, then definitely it is going to affect the ecosystem, which is really very obvious, like that of the forest, grasslands and the agriculture. Everything will be destroyed because nothing big, it is no more productive, it is not fertile, it is not going to give you anything, it is like a flat land, that's it. What are the causes of this thing? The natural processes and obviously the human actions, and this is the one of the most major reason behind the desertification, that is the humans, we people, which includes deforestation, overgrazing and the urbanization as well. What are the consequences? Soil fertility is diminished, vegetation loss is there and ecological imbalances also happens. And the geographical range, it can occur across varied climates and that of the regions. It can happen anywhere if the proper kind of things are not being provided, or if deforestation happens over the period of time, then definitely if we are not providing the land with the nutritions and all, it will definitely become a desert. So that is the thing which happens. So here you can see that how desertification actually happens. Here from this particular image you can understand it very nicely, that this deforestation actually happens, right, over the period of time. Here you can see that there are no trees and all in order to hold the soil, because when it comes to this, just for an example, this is the soil, okay, and this is the tree, right. Now what happens, that the roots of the tree actually holds the soil really very strongly, okay, it holds the soil really very strongly. If there are no trees, then definitely with the rainfall and all these lands will be washed away, and especially what will happen, the fertile portion, that which is the upper portion of the soil itself, that is being washed away by the water itself, right. And apart from that, landslides also happens, erosion happens, a lot many things happens, and finally the desertification happens. The water will be gone, it will become a desert, right. So the desertification, it actually specifically applies to the degradation in arid, semi-arid and the subhumid regions. This actually happens in these regions. Transformation, it actually transforms the productive land into the desert like conditions. The land is, before it was productive, but later on it became like a desert itself. What are the major causes when it comes to this thing? So the extended droughts, climate shifts, deforestation, overgrazing, improper land use, all these are the reasons behind this. What is the outcome? Then definitely the desert expansion will happen. The desert area, first of all, it will be of at really very small area, but slowly it will spread. Next, what is the location? Primarily happens in the regions with the scant rainfall and the water scarcity. So wherever there is less of the water and all, then definitely all those kind of areas will be impacted in a much faster way. That is not a better thing, obviously. Now when it comes to the data, because these kind of the data is really very important from the mains perspective. So extent as per the desertification and land degradation Atlas of India 2021, roughly around 30%, just imagine, roughly around 30% of India's land is classified as the degraded, which is really very huge, because our population is also huge. No, we need to cater all these people, right? So we need to cater a lot many people. Now, which are the affected states over here? So those are the Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, and all these are the arid and semi-arid regions. So all these regions are in danger of becoming a deserted states. Now, what are the causes of the land degradation? I have already explained you in many ways. As of now, the causes: improper farming practices, deforestation, soil erosion, overgrazing, mining and urbanization is also one of the reasons over here. Okay, desertification happens because of the drought and climate change. Okay, these are the reasons. Next comes the water overuse, deforestation, unstable farming, erosion and the desert expansion. Possible solutions: whenever we talk about the talk about the kind of problem, we are supposed to provide with the solutions also, which is very important. So here the very first thing is the sustainable land management. We are supposed to conserve the agriculture in order to reduce the soil disturbance, and the rotational grazing things should be done. Otherwise, because of the overgrazing, the whole of the grasses will be gone and the land will be left open, and because of the rainfall, because of the water flow, because of the wind action and all the fertile portion of the soil will be gone. Next is the reforestation and the afforestation thing can be done in order to avoid this desertification thing. Water management should be done. Why? Because the scarcity of the water is one of the reason behind the desertification. Soil conservation should be paid a lot of importance. Next is the policy and the governance definitely will be helping out, because the government needs to come up with some kind of strategies. Anti-deforestation laws should be enforced so that we could actually protect our forest. Next is climate change adaptation should happen, and international cooperation, that is the collaboration, should be done so that we could learn from the best practices which is being followed around the world, and we can apply all those over in our India, over here in India, so that the desertification could be stopped, or we can roll it back. Okay, so this was it related to our topic of the PIB. I hope all of you really enjoyed it. See you in the next video of the second one. I mean the second week of weekly PIB analysis. So see you in the next video. Bye bye. Take care and have a great time.